Japan's Defense Minister Taro Kono has criticized China for its actions in the contested South China Sea and waters close to Japan, days before visiting Beijing to meet his Chinese counterpart, Wei Feng. China is engaging in unilateral and coercive attempts to alter the status quo based on its own assertions that are incompatible with the existing international order, Kono on Sunday at the Doha Forum, an international conference in Qatar. The senior politician, who previously served as foreign minister and has been touted as a potential successor to Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, added that Japan is also concerned about China's rapid enhancement of its military power without transparency, including its nuclear and missile capabilities. The rule of law, which is of critical importance to global stability and security, is a value shared by the international community, including China, he said, adding that countries cannot be permitted to expand their spheres of influence by force and aggressors must be forced to pay the cost. Hiromi Murakami, a professor of international relations at the Tokyo campus of Temple University, admitted to being rather surprised at the tone of the minister's comments. Coming so soon after security talks between Japan and India, I can only see this as sending a reminder to China that it cannot do whatever it wants, wherever it wants, she said, referring to how the two Asian democracies agreed last month to step up bilateral security cooperation. Japan has to collaborate with other countries in the region if it wants to resist China. I think contain China is too strong a term, and Tokyo is working hard to do the same with India. Chinese state media has not commented on Kono's remarks, but analysts said Beijing would doubtless be paying close attention. Recent tensions between the US and China have forced Beijing to focus on boosting ties with its neighbors, with Chinese President Xi Jinping expected to make a state visit to Japan next April, amid improving bilateral ties that have historically been marred by disputes over wartime history and territory. Jun Okumura, an analyst at the Meiji Institute for Global Affairs, agreed that Kono's comments were unusual, but he pointed out that they were completely in line with Tokyo's positions on the issues as laid out in its annual Defense and Security White Paper published earlier this year. Japan has called on Beijing to adhere to the principles of international law on the question of islands and atolls in the South China Sea, a number of which Beijing has unilaterally claimed and built military facilities upon. Kono, who is expected to arrive in Beijing on Wednesday, is likely to raise the issue of the Belt and Road Initiative, China's ambitious infrastructure plan to boost global trade, and reiterate Japan's support for some of the projects that are presently being discussed. North Korea will inevitably come up, Okumura said, with Japan likely to repeat calls for China to cooperate with efforts to get Pyongyang to scrap its nuclear weapons and long-range ballistic missiles, particularly given resurgent tensions on the Korean peninsula in recent weeks. Another possible topic of discussion is the creation of a military hotline to stop accidental air or maritime clashes developing into more serious incidents, as well as Chinese vessels taking part in naval reviews with Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force. The point is that they are talking with each other and that these meetings are now becoming more routine, Okumura said.
Not well versed in the process.
really need to put it back together? This must be Ortiz's playlist.
It is. He plays this song every day.
He plays this song? Yeah, he does. No, that was probably
Came
there.
on it?
Yeah.
Maybe he's 45.
Is any water coming out? Yeah, it's working. All right.
Maybe he's taking my shit.
Oh,
Yeah, I've got to look at this because I am not.
that's flow.
As we were moving to get the Iraqis into Mosul. My deputy commanding general was an Australian, and I was able to do a lot of cyber operations because of the capability that his country brought, capabilities that I did not have resident with my organization. So it's an example of how together we are stronger than we are individually. And so with the Eastern Army, the electronic warfare capabilities that Japan has is a great capability that enhances our ability to conduct operations. So I think we are stronger because of the diversity inside our headquarters with other nations. Thank you for the question.
その例の一つとしましては、私が以前イラクでの